Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm very excited for this episode. I have another fantastic guest, Nicholas Bonkowsky. He's an international badminton player and he also competed in several Pan Am championships. He didn't stop right there. He went and pursued his career as a badminton coach in Calgary location at Clear One. And I introduce you, Nicholas Bonkowsky.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Nick. So, tell me, Nick, I wanted to start somewhere. You have done several international tournaments, along with Pan Ams and everything.
I've done a lot. I've played tons of internationals. I think they're called Super 1000s now.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I played them, they were Premier Super Series. So China, Korea, and Hong Kong. World Championships 2017, Commonwealth Games 2018. Just everything, every level except Olympics. But
oh man,
it is what it is.
That was like every badminton player's dream.
Exactly.
Olympics.
So, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, so. Sure, definitely. So how did this all started? Like badminton?
I started really late. So I started in high school actually, in grade 11, grade 12. Okay. Some of my friends actually got me out to play. So before that, I used to run 5Ks competitively.
Wow.
My goal was to go to the Olympics for that. I was fast, like 14 minutes, but not fast enough for the Olympics. So some friends said, yo, come play this sport. And I was like, oh, what's badminton?
Yeah.
And I got hooked on it. Made the school team, played what's called A-level. So I had to play like the national, international club players in Calgary. Don't know if A-level still exists, but did that. Got scouted for the kind of provincial team. So like the elite training program.
Yes.
Did that, played some nationals. And my mom said, hey, can you go anywhere with this? I said, I don't know. And she called her sister in Trinidad.
Yes.
She found the badminton team. They said, come down, get your passport, played their players, and well, I ended up playing for them.
Nice. That is the part I'm actually confused. Yeah. So you actually played for Trinidad Tobago player?
Yes. So my mom is originally from there, and through her, I got citizenship.
Okay.
So I was like pretty high in Canada, but then there I was one of the top players, so it kind of made it a little easier for like Pan Am's, Commonwealth, stuff like that. Nice. So yeah.
That's interesting. So what is that something you liked in badminton that actually got you hooked onto it?
Probably the physical. Coming from running 5Ks, like I was used to fitness. And just the technical aspect, the physical, the mental too of playing singles, just like strategy, that really, really enticed me. So
man, that is perfect. That shows up like you physically fit at what so fit today, man. Nowadays, youngsters, I don't see none of them are like so fit like these days. That's the perfect thing. And so how's it like? I know you competed in, what was your first international tournament?
My first international was 2008 Puerto Rico International. And that was an interesting one. That was like my first big grand tournament. Yeah. It was a learning experience for sure, but it was different because like coming from Canada, Canada and the States pretty much have like the highest level. And then going down to the Caribbean, it's very different. You're like, oh, there is like quite a wide range. Not just what you see on TV, YouTube. You're like, oh my God, Lin Dan, Lee Chong Wei, the best. You're like, there is like a wide range of players. So
nice. Like, were you scared to like compete?
Initially, I was not scared. I think that's from the previous competing in like 5Ks. I was like, okay, my nerves were good, but I was unsure. But then once I started watching, I was like, oh, let me try. Let me see what I can do. And that's kind of my whole mindset the whole way. Like ever since I started, it was just kind of like, let's see how far I can go. Let's see what I can do. And that's pretty much it. And then like more goals got added, but yeah.
That's nice actually. Think even coming back, like were you like competing just singles in that international tournament? Or
singles and doubles actually.
Singles and doubles.
So I played 2 internationals that year. My first year, that was September, October, I believe, or October, November. So it was Puerto Rico and Suriname. So
Suriname, yeah. How did you find when you entered the first time on the court? Like, were you like, oh, did you have a coach back then actually? I was going to ask.
So the doubles player that I played with, he was actually kind of technically coaching me. Wow. I met him in Trinidad when I went down there. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, we're going to these tournaments like 2 weeks from now. I'm like, oh, cool, okay. And then it just kind of all fell in place from there. So I wasn't really nervous per se. It was like unsure.
So how was this atmosphere? Because when you're competing like a local tournaments, obviously we all have our friends, family that's been there. But when you're competing in like for example, going to Puerto Rico or even China or even other countries, right? Like how does it feel? Like how's the atmosphere like?
It's different. Every country is a little bit different, but I've noticed one thing. All the players are usually pretty friendly. And like you can kind of get into a group or like you just meet people and they like welcome you in. And then, you know, you see that one person at this and then, 2 weeks later, you see him at another one. A year later, you guys are still talking like, oh, are you going to this tournament? And it's quite a big community, actually. Like I noticed that pretty easy. After tournament, I just got to know more people. And some of them you only speak to at tournaments. Some you like keep in contact all the time. Some I still talk to this day. So
I think that is the one thing that I love about the sport is community. So if you actually see one player in one tournament, like the best example I'll give you, like I met players from Alberta series and I went and competed in BC and then I see them again and then I was like, oh, we're all of a sudden so buddies. And then I was like, yeah, let's go out for a dinner. Let's get a drink. And I was like, yeah, I think that's a good community we have in the badminton side.
Yeah.
So I know you do have you talked about Olympics as a dream. So how far and how much effort and this took you to?
So 2016, that was the one that I tried for Rio. So I moved to Vancouver 2014 to train, came back, trained with some players here who were also trying for the Olympics, Martin Jufrey, and I gave it a try. I gave it a legitimate try. I think I played 20 or 25, 20 tournaments that year maybe. It was a lot financially, mentally, being away from Calgary so often, but, and this is going to sound weird.
Okay.
I don't know if I would do it again. Like even I retired last year, but even if I didn't, I don't know that I would do it again. Not because I don't enjoy it, not because I didn't like it, but it's just a weird little thing. It's like I enjoyed the experience once. I didn't enjoy the stress of like counting points, being like, oh, is this guy going to pass me? And that actually happened the following year for World Championships. So that was my Olympics, I guess you could call it. I qualified for men's doubles and I missed out on men's singles by literally 0.1 of a point because a guy from Africa did the team championships and points can get divided. And I just remember we were calculating, we're like, hey, if this all goes according, you'll make it. I'm like, sweet. And then it just, middle of the night, rankings come out and it's like 0.1. I was like, oh my God, imagine if that was the Olympics. How would I feel? So, but I'm happy I tried. I lived the experience and I'm good with that.
I think so. How did you get out of that? It must be a lot of stress on you during that time.
It was. So I graduated university then. So I technically was just full-time badminton, still coaching. But I guess I didn't have too much else to worry about, if that made sense. So I could kind of relax. Didn't have to worry about studies. Didn't really have to worry financially either. So the stress was just at the tournaments. Okay. So, yeah.
Like, how did you manage it? I know you mentioned like you played in that couple of years, like almost 20 international tournaments. Like, how did you manage like school and like?
So for the first bit, I was going to school and competing. My schedule was crazy. Train in the morning, school 8 to 12, train 1 to 3, coach, and then train. I think it was just pure grit and determination. I was just like, this is what I want to do. If I don't do it, I won't get the results I need. And I just pushed through.
That's good, actually. Like, I think. And also like just managing, even I would say like even with the work these days and just playing just once a week, twice a week, and it's so much. And while you did all that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, looking back on that, I don't know how I did it. But it took dedication, we'll put it that way. So.
And I know you also competed with some of the players like Toby. And you're also part of with the team for Michelle Lee, I think, or for the Pan Ams.
I was around them. I hung out with them. So, because for Pan Am Games, I played for Trinidad. Pan Am Championships, still Trinidad. So, like, I'd see them all there.
Okay, yeah. So, how was it playing with Toby Young? Like,
it was cool. So, I think I just met Toby. That was the first time I met him, actually.
Yeah.
And, like, I'd followed him before. I'd seen all his stuff. And he was super nice, super helpful, too. He had lots of insight, lots of, like, advice, and after that, when I moved to Vancouver, we actually lived together. And I'd like talk to him still. We still remember each other. He didn't hate me for losing that game, so we're good. It was a close one. But yeah, super nice guy, and just like his analytical way of doing things, it kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. So
I think so. What is the one thing that you say got you on, or the lessons that you learned from playing badminton?
That's a tough one. I think there's a few, but the biggest thing is just consistency. It's like if you do something enough, you put in the effort, you do it right, you will get results that you want. So,
how about off the court? Have you had any of your life lessons from competing, traveling to like these countries and all that?
Definitely. Travel. So I love traveling.
Yes.
And going to all these countries, like culturally, you see so many different things. And it just, I think the biggest thing is appreciate what you have. And just because you go to the fancy countries, Dubai, you go to like some of the poorer countries and you see all walks of life, but you see how happy people are. And like, I remember going to Cuba and, well, you know, it's Cuba. It's nice, but we go not to like the big cities always. A lot of these tournaments in random little towns. In Greece, we were in like a small little town, and I would probably never go there if it wasn't for badminton. So I'm really grateful for that, taking me to see different sides of the world, different cultures, and all the people. They're so nice. So
I think that, and also I think the competitive wise, like I know you mentioned you would want to experience, I don't think you want to experience same that Olympic dream of it, coming back to it. But I mean, if there is something else that you think could have made your experience better, what would you think would have been?
I think it would be traveling with a team. So because I played for Trinidad, I was one of the few players who traveled. Yeah. So usually I'm flying alone, I'm there alone. Sometimes there'd be friends, but it's like I'm mostly doing it all alone. So I think if I had a team or like a couple people with me, that would be a lot better. It'd be a lot nicer.
Like having the team.
So, yeah.
So
just to share in those experiences together. Like it's cool to make the friends there, but it's also nice to have the friends with you and like you guys can do stuff together as well. Yeah. So.
And also, how is I know you went to like China as well for the tournaments. So how, I know like China is like very famous for badminton, right? Like how so many players they generate. How is the training there? Like, have you ever experienced?
So I trained in China 3 separate times for about 4 to 6 months each time. Yeah. Nanning twice and Shenzhen once. And it was intense. Those were my younger days. Now I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, could I do that again? The physical aspect was the biggest thing. I'm like, I keep coming back to that. Like that was my game. I was the physical player. I was the guy who'd run you around for an hour on court. You'd be like, I don't want to play him. China was very, very physical. Technical wise, they did teach you stuff. I think that has changed now, actually. They do a lot more technical now. But back then it was just very physical. 4 to 9 hours a day. Rest days would be about 4 hours. Normal training days were like 6 to 9 hours. Wow. And I remember just one drill we used to do. We used to do 2-on-1 for 3 hours. I'd do 1 hour where I attack 2 people, 1 hour where I defend against 2 people, and 1 hour where I rally 2 people. And the 2 people would switch out every 10 minutes because they'd be doing other drills. Like they'd pull in doubles pairs, they'd pull in mixed pair. And it was just, it was a mental strength for sure. Because you're like, okay, I'm good. And then it's like switch. And you're like, I only have 55 more minutes of this to go. And then I have another 2 hours after. So I think mentally, like China made me mentally strong and physically as well. Physically. So,
But how have you ever trained in any other countries? As well?
Korea, Japan. Did some Pan Am training camps. So we used to do that in Mexico is where I went. And then I've trained in like some other countries. Some friends from Denmark, they've come to train. So we've done their training program. So it's like different styles.
But what do you think is a different style from compared to Asian training versus the
intensity?
Intensity.
Yes. Denmark is Europe is very technical. Okay. It's very quality. It's like good quality, solid quality. Asia was very physical, with the exception of kind of Japan and Korea. Korea was very, very technical. Japan was kind of a mix of two, but the pace, just the intensity of that training. Yeah. You got 10 guys and any of them can be replaced at any moment. So they all just push each other to the absolute limit.
I think that is the one thing that happens between like Asian countries is like you have so much of this competitive players, you're always watching your back.
Yeah, it's true.
Like I think even if I remember correctly in India, there's like there's new generation of players that's coming in after Lakshya Sen, and they're like so amazing, and how the game has evolved from like if you look at like almost like 10 years back compared to now, like we have so many badminton players coming out of India.
There is. They've really become a powerhouse for badminton. So
that was amazing actually. So what made you switch your career to coaching side?
So actually it kind of happened at the same time. So when I started playing badminton, that's also when I started coaching. I started assisting my coach. Okay. So my coach needed help and he was like, oh, like get your certification and then come coach. I was like, oh, cool. Like side job, make some money, fund my badminton. So they kind of actually happened like concordingly. So they always were going on at the same time. So it was kind of, I kind of fell in love with the coaching as well. I was like, oh, I'm going to practice this while I'm feeding. And then I'm like, oh, this kid's struggling with this. Like, oh, I kind of know how to, okay, here you go. So I'd say that the love for it kind of actually happened together. So
that's nice. I know like sometimes when you switch like passions towards like from playing, competing versus coaching, how do you still stay in shape? Like what do you do?
Well, so 2008 was when I started competing internationally, and I just finished 2024. So that whole time I was still training regularly, coaching, working out, stuff like that. So it kind of went, like I said, hand in hand is not a big thing. Now that I've retired internationally, I still go to training every now and then. And there's some players who are kind of coming up, some that I've coached before, and they're getting a lot better. So they're like, yo, can we go spar? I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, let's go do some drills. So that kind of also keeps me in shape. It's like, can teach them some stuff, and I can also train as well. So, and then just workouts, come back to running a little bit after a long hiatus. I'm like, oh, I kind of like this again. So stuff like that.
So are you trying to focus the Chinese style of coaching, like 1 hour, 2 hour training with your coach?
I wish. I don't know if they're fit enough to do that. They would probably kill me, but I would like to.
Yeah, that was intense. Like I seen some of the Asian training videos, like how they do it. Like they come up with very new ideas.
Some of the drills we did, oh my gosh, I'm still like, how did you come up with this? And that's the thing too, a lot of the drills from all the countries I've trained in, I do use quite a few of them to this day still.
Exactly.
So
and I think now there is also, because of the social media platform, so there's more accessibility compared to 10 years ago, where if you look for a badminton game, you will find it, like, but it's not very accurate, or there's no details about it.
Exactly.
And a lot less coaches are coming out. But now, like, there's several badminton coaching videos of like how to do this, how to do that. And I really love that, how the sport's evolving towards the social media side. That's perfect. But wait, coming back, are there aspect of the game that you emphasize now you're a coach compared to a player that you ignored completely?
Not really. I feel like it's adapted, but I was never a big attacker. I'm like an okay smash, decent. But like I was more, like I said, like a fitness player. I would run, I would control, I would pretty much be like, you make the mistake, not me. I guess now I do emphasize a little bit more attack from my players, just because it's true, the game is going that way. It's not that I never did it, it's just kind of I never needed to, if that made sense. But so I'll tell my players now, like, if you get the chance, like, try to attack, try to put pressure and call it pressure. So, but everything else, like, and that's the thing, I played for quite a long time, so my game itself evolved as well. And I kind of always translated that into the coaching, since they were happening together. Like, oh, game shifting. Okay, we're gonna start practicing more pressure drills, more flat stuff, a box style game, that kind of thing.
That's the thing, I think. And also, like, when you competed, right? And then, so you focused on singles more.
Yes.
So during your time of play, so do you think a longer rallies is the best way to go? Or nowadays, like how they are like immediate smash and like taking the chances? Which game style do you think is the best?
I like the old style. That's me. There's like a little sadistic side of me that wants to see the other person just huffing and puffing. And I'm not gonna lie, I would have like a 30-shot rally. I would see them just leaning over. I would be just as tired. I'd be sucking wind, but I'll stand up and just look them in the eyes and be like, all right, let's go again.
Oh man.
That's just me. I like that stuff, but the attacking one, it's very good too. And I feel you need both. You need those quick points. You need to like impose a lot of pressure on your opponent. But then you also need to be able to rally them out and be like, oh, they're good at neutralizing. Okay, I need to play around with this and find my opportunity. And that's the other side of this. I feel sometimes a lot of players, they force too much or they rush too much. And then that's when you get all those mistakes. So there has to be a balance. I would skew it a little bit more to the attacking side rather than the rally side, but
Attacking, do you think, will get you the points?
I think it'll set it up. I think putting pressure, and I don't like to call it attack because like everybody thinks, oh, attack, smash, smash. Fast slices, fast drops, pump clears, pushes. It's like I think pressure is what builds the rally. Pressure is what gets you points. So
how did you handle the pressure when you're in a pressure moments like those? How do you think someone should handle it? Like, how did you handle personally?
Not getting frustrated. And I think I keep going back to China. China played a big factor in that because like everything they did back then, that was, oh God, what years was that? 2009, 2010, and I think 2012 I trained there.
Yeah.
What they did then is kind of what the game is now. So it's like they were, I really want to say they were ahead of the game back then.
Yeah.
So I really learned a lot how to just neutralize it. And I wouldn't get frustrated. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, why can't I play my shot? Why can't I play my shot? Okay, fine. I can't play my shot. You can't play your shot. What are you going to do? Oh, you play that? I play this. What are you going to do? And that's kind of a mentality I've always had. It's like, what are you going to do with that shot? It's not, I'm going to win with this. It's, what are you going to do? Yes. I'm going to do this. What are you going to do? And just kind of going back and forth. They always say badminton is like chess.
Yes.
And it really is. So
I think that's the one, like the biggest stress for me in person is like when the score is at like 19-20.
Oh, I love that.
Every time, this is the biggest fear for me in the tournaments because I had a very bad incident previously where it was 19-21 and I couldn't get it. Like couple tournaments, it was like always like 19, I lose to 21. Like,
no.
I just freak out.
Fair.
So I have no idea. How do you think you get out of that situation? Like,
I don't put weight on it. And I've been on both ends of this. So you know, it goes up to 30, right? 29, 29. I've had both ends. I've won 30-29 in the third game and I've lost 30-29 in the third game. And at that point, I think the biggest thing, my coach actually told me this. He's like, it's 1 point. It's harder for them to, like, if they're the ones who have, say, 21st and I have 19, it's harder for them to win 1 point than me because they're like, oh, I have match point. I can win this. It's like, I just have to win one more point. It doesn't matter. So I think I did that as like, there's no emphasis on it. 1 point by point by point. Doesn't matter what the score is. It's just a point. So.
Wow, that's actually easier to say when you're on the court.
Easier to say than do, but.
Yeah, that was like very. So come back to the coaching side. Like what programs do you believe right now or you're trying to emphasize about coaching the kids? Like
in terms of like levels or just like styles?
Like,
so I coach every level from beginner to I have like elite kids who compete in tournaments and then private lessons, same kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So, and then it's just more so, depends on the level, but like, you know, for the first few, building the basics. Basics, you can't get away from that.
Yeah.
For the higher level kids, it's trying to introduce the concepts that I learned and competed with, trying to get them to do that at like a younger age. Because it's true, the younger they start doing those things, the easier it gets, the more exposure they have to it, that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's a very good advice actually. So, and I'm also gonna ask, do we have any Nick specialized coaching techniques or like that you improvise the coaching technique?
Oof, I mean, there's lots of stuff that I've done. I don't know if it's unique or special, but just different kinds of styles of feeding, I guess. I mean, I did this years and years ago, and this was something I learned in China. Like, everybody always used to feed from the middle of the court. And it's like, well, in a game, though, people are playing their shots from the sides of the court. So the coaches there always used to feed from different corners. And they were really good at feeding, but if they were feeding from the backhand side, like they would literally feed a backhand shot. So it really simulated how the shuttle came out or how it would travel from that corner. I try to do that a lot more, not with maybe the beginner kids, but more advanced kids. Multi-shuttle, one-shuttle drills. So it's just always continuously going. They're hitting one shot. Oh, you make a mistake, next shuttle goes up. Just different kinds of things. And then improvising or including like other aspects. I remember in China, we used to do blind net. So you couldn't see across and you're like, where's the shuttle coming? We used to have special targets you had to hit, you know, aiming for the tubes. That's common. I mean, people always do that, but just try to incorporate all those little things. So
I think the so now that how much emphasis does a player, if you are starting a badminton, do you recommend them having to start from a coach?
I think it's fairly important. Now, because like you said, social media is a huge thing. So kids have access to lots of resources now.
Yes.
Back in the day when I started, there's a couple of videos on YouTube of people swinging and you're like, oh, I can watch that. Now you can easily find 100. Yes. So I think they have options now. A coach is always good because they're physically there and like they can guide you through the motion. Whereas if you're watching it yourself, you're kind of just relying on yourself to do it and you hope you're doing it right. So I feel a coach is good for starting and getting that foundation.
Yes.
After that, I think every now and then it's good because you do have access to friends. They can throw you shuttles. They can feed you. Other players, tournaments. So it's interesting now.
That's perfect. Actually, I think, and also coming back to that, like for the coaching side of things. So having a coach during the tournaments, how important is it?
It's very important. And that's one thing that I did not always get. So for all those years, usually it's just me on the court. And I remember my friends would always say this because sometimes there's like videos or I'd record videos and they're like, you talk to yourself a lot. And be like, well, there's nobody else out there. Like I have to. So you'd get your 11-point interval and like I'd be standing there and the other guy's getting coaching. I'd be like, okay, he's doing this. And it's like, they're like, you look crazy. I'm like, it works. So, but I think that also was possible because I coached too and because of like all my coaches.
Yeah.
So I kind of analyzed my game as I was playing and it was an interesting thing. But a coach on court is so important. Yeah. They see stuff that you don't see. You get fresh. Oh, why am I losing this point? Why? He's burning me. And they're like, you're playing short to his backhand. He's burning you every time. You're like, oh my gosh, you're right. So like they offer a third perspective and you can't pass that up. Even if they're not a high level coach, anybody can be like, why do you keep playing that shot? And you're like, oh, I do keep playing that shot. And that can be the difference between winning and losing.
I think I could totally relate on this one. Whenever I play, I literally talk to myself. I mean, that's maybe too much in doubles. Actually, I just tend to like talk right after the shot. Like, why did I do this? Oh, I didn't do this. I'm like, okay, just relax. I mean, it also helps me to get that out of it right away.
Yes.
So when I think of it like, okay, I did this in rally. Okay, that's out now.
Yes.
So I'm just going to focus on the next rally, next point. So I will sound and look crazy, as you said. But at the same time, as you said, like the coaching side, it really helps. I used to be not a big believer of it, to be honest, because I thought, okay, I can learn from YouTube, as you mentioned, like, okay, there's this. But actually, that helps me when I had a coach, when he explained things to me. Rather than on a YouTube, you can find information, don't get me wrong, but it's not complete, I feel.
Exactly.
So there's always something that's missing, which is very crucial.
I agree.
That I feel like I got it from getting from a coach.
Yes.
Like that point of perspective, as you mentioned, like, oh, why you keep hitting to his backhand?
Yeah.
Because when you're on the court, you think, but at the same time, you're in that zone of play. When the third person comes in and say like, oh, now that light bulb like glows. I'm like, oh, right, you're right.
Oh, I can do that. And then it works. And that's the beauty of it, because now you can coach in between points. So a coach is even, I want to say, a little bit more valuable too, because they're like 3 points in, all of a sudden the player changes their strategy and they're like, oh, they changed. You got to do this now. Whereas back in the day, it was only at 11. So you might have gotten the first few and then you kind of had to figure it out yourself. Now a coach can help you like point by point too. So it's even more important.
And also now that you mentioned about it, and the coaches are doing way so much homework on the players.
Oh, they are.
I had this one best example, I always bring it up, is a Shrikant Kirambi from India, right? So he has a very good China Open, right?
Yes.
And after that, I think the coaches were able to read his game style complete. And it really took him some time to get over that the streak of losing.
Oh yeah.
And I realized, okay, they do a lot of homework.
Oh, yeah.
Try to read every single move of the player along with their coaches, what they do. Like that's next level.
Something I remember at tournaments too, like the player would be recording their game.
Yes.
And then 10 other coaches from other countries would be recording that game. It's like, oh, my player's playing him, or my player's going to play him at some point, and they're just analyzing everything. So
that's perfect. Okay, so what is one advice you would give like younger generation who's trying to pursue this badminton like as a profession or even a road to Olympics?
Make sure you have the passion for it. I think that's the most important thing. It's like, remember why you're playing. Like Olympics is everybody's dream. You want to go to the Olympics, but it's like, remember why. Because if you lose sight of that, I feel like you don't enjoy the journey. And like, it's, once again, I didn't make the Olympics. I know people who did, but like, it can be painful. It's long hours training. you sacrifice so much. I remember not being in the country. I remember missing friends' birthdays, friends' weddings, like missing big events. And it's like, yo, can you come? I'm like, I'm at a tournament, I can't. So like, you gotta make sure you know why you're doing it. Definitely you have to put in the work too. You can't slack off. You can be like, oh, I don't feel good today. I don't want to do this. The first, 10 years of my badminton career, I did an hour of footwork a day. I'll still go do footwork now, which sounds crazy to people. Like, why would you do footwork for fun? I'm like, I kind of enjoy it, and it keeps me active, keeps me fit. So, but like, you have to go above and beyond. You can't just do the bare minimum and expect to succeed. You have to put in all the effort, all the work.
So what was the road plan like? Like, I know a lot of the junior players have this like junior circuits, where I actually see a lot of talent, like so many players competing, and we see like amazing talent. But right after that, like, I don't know if it's an informational gap or how, like, they're always in the lost zone of like after 19.
I feel like it's a cultural thing too, or just like the area of the world we're in is true. Badminton is not the biggest sport here. You're not going to make a living playing badminton. I know that. So I feel a lot of them too. It's kind of that end of the road. They're like, well, I was a good junior, but like, I'm not going to make the national team. I'm not going to be the top in the country. I'm not going to get sponsors. So it kind of becomes this whole, well, I can follow a hobby, follow a passion, or I can go into the real world, get a job, go on with life. And I feel a lot of them, that kind of just makes a little bit more sense, or pressure to parents, stuff like that. So,
So what are some steps to follow if a person, if a 19-year-old want to pursue it? Is like, you know what, this is my passion. I'll go with it. I want to be like Nick. I want to get the experience. Even if I don't make it, I'm okay. So what do you suggest some of the best steps they can take during that time?
I suggest they also do it, because it's, once again, like, I got to travel the world, new experiences. They really, really, really need to plan things out though. It is going to be an uphill battle, more so financially. Things are expensive. Flights are expensive. Training is expensive. So I'd say they have to have a good financial plan. Be that working and doing that, which once again, yes, that cuts into training. So you have to schedule all that. Next side of it is training side. You need to find a place to train. You need to find the right players to train who can motivate you, push you. And then the other side is just like the planning it, like figuring out where to go in the world. That's, compared to the other two, that's the easy part. But yeah, financially, you need to make sure you're very secure for what you need to do. The rest of it, if they kind of just want to like go out there and do it, it's not as hard to find resources, I guess. But it's expensive too. So, which is the downside.
Do you think the badminton, like, more what I would say is like, is it increased in the famous right now? Like, not famous, I mean, if it has grown since the day that you started playing to till today?
100% it has grown. I remember when I started playing, there was no public clubs, so Clear One, Smash, Sunridge, Center Ave. Those didn't exist. We used to play at Mount Royal College on like a Saturday, was it a Saturday morning? Saturday night, Sunday night we used to play. And then me and some friends would go to Talisman Center. It's now called something else because it's changed names. But we'd go to these like rec centers and just play. And a lot of the good players, they would be at these rec centers, either training, playing for fun, doing that kind of stuff. There's always been the two private clubs in the city, Winter and Glencoe. So I train at the Glencoe club. Those always had the best players. You want to be good, you go there. But same thing, private club, invite only. Now, way more accessible. You don't have to be a member of a private club. You can go to one of the warehouse clubs and train. You can go anywhere and kind of like find easily tons of people to play with.
Because I also feel like the warehouse clubs are actually trying to get a high-level coaches, like mainly from Asian countries. And then actually I see a lot of the juniors getting that help and the coaching. And I feel like it's amazing to see that the badminton's actually growing in Canada compared to like prior. Like, I mean, I talked to several, like a couple of their masters players as well, how they all started in rec centers and how the gym coaches bring them in. Like, that was amazing to see how now the generation is getting so much help. And that's part of the reason for me. Like, I want more badminton players actually to come out and share their experience so that juniors can get all the help they can get. or even if they are like, I think that is the one, that zone where we, after the juniors, they're in this dilemma. Okay, should I just pursue to go to international? Is that going to be a waste of my time? Or am I going to be like succeed? What are the chances, right? So, but if they hear from players who did compete like yourself, or even like other players who actually went in, like, that will be amazing, the knowledge they can get from. Okay, so now we'll have some Q&As.
Okay.
All right? So what is your training routine like when you competed for like international?
So back in the day, I'll go for like from here. So I'd usually train anywhere from like 6 to 7:30 in the morning. It'd be on-court session. You know, you go to school, you have another on-court session in the evening. So all those were like doing drills, 2-on-1s, multi-shuttles, that kind of stuff with actual like coaches, the other players. Usually in the night, I would find some other players and like we would just go do drills ourselves. So we would feed each other, be like, hey, I want to work on this. And we'd work on that. That's all on court. Physical, lots of running, lots of sprinting, lots of footwork. So that's on my own time. Like I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do that. And then you do your weights as well. So it was pretty much, it was like a full-time job. It was just, you do your on-court training, you do your off-court physical, you do your off-court weight training. And you do that day in and day out. So
what do you think? Okay, do you think the working out in the gym is useful?
100%. Like if you physically cannot do what you're asking your body to do, you're gonna get injuries. And knock on wood, I don't know if there's any wood in here, but I've been relatively injury-free for most of my career. I've had only one decent injury. Miami, 2011. I played a backhand net kill and I pulled 3 tendons in my hand. So I couldn't hold a racket for 6 months. So what did I do? I did footwork for 6 months. But that was the only injury I've ever had. Knees have been amazing. Everything else has held out really good. So, and I attribute that to working out, strength training, all that. So it's like, I know what I need my body to do. I need to make sure my body is able to do that.
And I noticed this is the one thing with the younger generation too, right? Now, prior to this, like I've seen a lot of players play, like for example, Lindan or like any other players, like I never seen them wear so much of wrappings. So now a junior player, like a 15-year-old, wrapping his shoulders and like knees. Like, is it because like the strength training is going down, or is it because too much of intense training?
I feel it's a little bit more of the strength side. I feel like it's a little neglected because back in the day, Lindan and them, they still used to do like weights. They still used to do all that stuff. And I mean, like you said, they were never really wrapped up and they were competing at the highest level too. But nowadays, I feel the aspect of strength training, it's not where it should be for junior players. There's not an emphasis on it. And I do feel it's like, because people are like, oh, they're so young, they shouldn't be doing this. You don't have to use heavy weights. You can do a lot of like your plyometric stuff, a lot of your body weight stuff. Because we are asking a lot of these kids to do, and it's true that the body just can't handle it the way we need it to without strengthening it. So
I think that I can contribute some to it. Prior to this, I think probably like we're talking 3-4 years back. And I'm still like, no, I'd rather stay on the court and do more drills. I don't want to go to weights. I don't want to become big. This is the one misconception.
That is fair.
Whenever I tell my badminton friends, like, yo, let's hit the gym. I'm like, dude, badminton physique, you got to be lean. I'm not trying to bulk up. I'm like, no, you're not going to the gym to bulk up. You want to build that strength.
Exactly.
Like, how can you, like, you're just holding a badminton racket, which is very light. Sure, you do a lot of cardio on the court, but where is the, how do you generate like your smash?
It's like, where's the stability in your shoulder joints? Where's the strength for like every other thing? And yeah, you're swinging a racket around, but you're swinging it thousands and thousands of times. And the speed, it takes a toll on everything. It's funny actually that you mentioned bulky. I remember I played Greece International. And I played this dude, and he walks on the court, and you know the Greek statues of the Greek gods? He looked like that. This man was just shredded, ripped, and I was like, oh, this guy can't move. He can't turn. First few points, I'm like, oh, wait, what? How is he so fast? How is he jumping so high? Turns out he was top 50 in the world before, but still, like, even with a big physique like that, he was still so athletic. So,
hey, that's what we talked about in the last episode, where don't judge book by
exactly.
And you learn the hard way. So. But yeah, no, I think the working out really helped for me in the game as well previously. Doing like, I think one of my buddy helped me out with, so he just said, these are the main exercises. If you don't want to do full like on everything, just do like this deadlifts and then like what do you call it? Shoulder press, not shoulder press, sorry, I think squats, deadlifts and shoulders, and then that's it. Yeah. Like with light weights, you'll get enough strength that you can, and it helps you prevent from injuries mainly.
It does.
So that is the biggest take for me for avoiding weight room training. So, all right. So is there any diet that you followed closer to your competition?
Most of the time I was on a seafood diet, as in if I see food, I eat food. Just because the amount of training you did, the amount of calories you burned, oh my God. I would try to keep it healthy. Okay. Good balance of protein, carbs, vegetables. I mean, I try not to eat like junk food all the time, but let's be real. When you need 5,000-6,000 calories a day, it just, you eat what you can. Yeah. Closer to tournaments, I would try to taper off from that and like try to keep it a lot more clean just because the body feels better. It really does. When you're younger, I mean, I don't feel it matters as much. You kind of just, you burn everything. Yes. But as I got older, focusing on competitions, I did notice nutrition played a big factor, not only in how I performed, but also how I felt too. So
I think that is and also the food types makes like now we're getting so much ultra processed foods. I think sure. I mean, that is the one thing that I focused in the very recent years about is actually trying to be clean, but it's, as you said, it's very hard.
It's hard.
And at the same time, the junk food we're getting is more dangerous compared to like a few years ago.
So true.
So I feel like having that clean diet like really helps, like, and also playing the sport longer in terms. And it's very important if you're an athlete, like competing at a higher level. So what are some must things in a badminton bag?
I mean, you need your rackets for sure. Definitely change of clothes. There's been many times where I'd be like, I need another shirt. Oh no. Yeah. Extra socks, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I think a med kit's actually super important. Let's be real. Because I even have like scrapes now from like holding a racket and like you want a Band-Aid, you want your athletic tape. Definitely snacks. I noticed something I always like to carry is just like protein. It keeps you full. I mean, obviously it helps with the body as well, but it keeps you full. It's like a quick snack. So that's super important in my badminton bag. Portable charger is really important nowadays. Don't want that phone to run out, especially if you're like recording yourself doing drills too. So stuff like that.
Okay. So how many rackets does a tournament player or a competitive player should have?
Oh gosh. When I used to travel, I used to carry about 8 rackets to a competition with me. I don't know if that's overkill or not. Wow. Whether I'm gone for like one tournament or I'm gone for say like 3 weeks of a tournament. Yeah. I feel like things are better now. There's more stringers now, but back in the day, you couldn't always get your racket strung, or like you didn't always trust it. If I'm going to a third world country, I don't know if they string. I don't know if they can string. Yeah. So I used to take that many. Nowadays, 3 or 4 should be more than enough for somebody, but like the same racket, not 3 or 4 random ones, but the same one.
Yes, that is the one question that a lot of people get confused. Is like they love to have different head heavy headlights and like balanced and like and also comes with different string tensions. They said no, just find a comfortable racket and get a certain tension that you like and that you feel comfortable. And if you're a competing player, just have similar everything so that you don't miss out the feeling of like switching a racket.
Because nowadays, so before when you broke a string, you used to be able to like have 2 or 3 hits with it. Now you can't. So it's like you have to make sure that racket is pretty much identical to the other one you just played with. Yeah.
Like what is the like? This is the one competitive player is that they always confused of like getting their racket strung. Yeah. How long before do you get your racket strung before a tournament?
So I string my own rackets. So literally like the day before I leave or the day that I leave, I will string all my rackets up. Okay. And just because I want them nice and fresh, and especially if I'm traveling. Yeah. Like I notice sometimes you go to South America, different temperature, you go up in the plane, you go down, it kind of plays with the tension a little bit. Whether I believe that or not, or it's just like a psychological thing, I don't know. But I want fresh strings for my tournament. So normally training, strings will last me, 3-4 days and then they'll break. So just constantly.
I think I'll support you on that one because I feel like there is a definite tension difference in going from even from Calgary to Vancouver.
Oh, yes.
So I realized like if getting strung for me, it's my personal experience. Like when I get strung at Calgary, and then if I just starting to play in Vancouver, the different climate or altitude, whatever it is, like I feel like okay, my shots are like going very different. I mean, there's a factor of like shuttle difference, but at the same time that I feel like the tension actually difference for me. So, but that is the one. Okay, I know you mentioned about snacks and protein.
Yeah.
Okay, drinks. So do you have any kind of snacks that is your favorite that you always want to, like, I know I have this, it's like a one that I always wanted.
Anytime or when I'm on court?
No, when you're on the court, and also we'll know about your off the court.
When I'm on the court, so I actually have my water bottle. I have two. So I'd have one with just water and one with actually protein in it.
Okay.
Now there's like whey protein, the powder stuff. No, not that one.
Okay.
It's like a clear whey isolate and it mixes almost like a juice. And I usually always take that when I have a match because it gives me a little bit of sustenance. It gives me a little bit of like energy as well. And then I have the water too. So during my mid-game, post-game, even pre-game, that's what I'll kind of have. Snacks on court, I've never had to eat anything. I've always had, like I'll keep a banana in my bag. I'll keep like a little granola bar just in case, but I've never had to use that on the court. I've seen other players have to do it. They'll eat the gel packs, the energy packs. Yeah. So
I think that is actually I notice a lot. Like it's actually before it used to be like a lot of players use like bring out their bananas and and I also seen different some people have this like a Gatorade drinks.
Oh yeah,
and then water and they just have a sip and sip. I'm like, yeah, I think it's a pretty cool. I'll let me try it, and yeah, I think it's kind of helps when you're.
And it's like a quick energy thing. Yeah. I know some players they used to have just chocolate bar because it's like you're middle of the game, you're maybe third game, you're getting tired. You're like, I need some sugar.
Yeah,
you aren't worried about the crash. You need something for quick energy now. So.
Yeah. I think I also know that there's a one player. I think it's apart from badminton, like in the tennis, there's what's his name? Anyway, sorry. I think his thing is he eats dates.
That sounds vaguely familiar. I think I know which one you mean.
Yes, I cannot remember the name. I know if Greg can search it up. Like, I think it's the top 3. He's top 1 now, and because the explanation that he provides is the sugar from banana or like anything else, it gives you like instant high. But when you have this like a date, he said, it's actually keeps it stable.
It's Djokovic.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's Djokovic. Yeah, he's an amazing player, man.
He is a very good player.
He's actually, they're like in every sport, we have these players who are like focused so much on physical, like Ronaldo.
Oh, yes.
And we have Djokovic, and we have in badminton Lee Chong-wei. Like, they love fitness. Amazing. They're on the court, cardio versus like everything. They look so fit for their ages. That's amazing. How they stay in fit. All right, so last one. Okay. Do you have any pre-game routine that you do for most of your competitions?
Well, so pre-game routine, I was never really like superstitious.
Okay.
Warm up was my biggest thing, just mobility. I always believed that I should walk onto the court with a sweat because it means my body's warm, my muscles warm, not so that I'm fatigued, but it's like I'm ready to go. I can jump on and I'm good to go at 100%. Whereas I see a lot of players, they like start and they're like, like 40, 50%. So warm up was the biggest thing for me. Good dynamic stretching, good stuff like that. I would always see players listening to music.
Yes.
And I never did that. I think this also goes back to just me personally in my running days. I would never run with music. I'd be running my 5Ks just me. I guess I like being with my own thoughts. I don't know. But so for me, music was never a big thing. I'd also never want to rely on that, I guess. Like, oh no, my battery's dead. Oh, I don't have my music. And then all of a sudden, like, oh no. So I tried to keep things very, very simple. Just like that,
I think it's also the similar. I think even if you know David Goggins.
I think so.
So he's a very fittest right now. He also says the same thing. Like, I don't run with music on. I'm like, I have to focus. I have to know what I'm doing. Don't want to run out to look for music that pumps me up. I'll pump myself up. I'm like, that was fun time. Like, do you have any tournament superstitions? Like there's certain things that you do before the tournament or during the tournament?
No, not really. I wouldn't call it superstition. Like,
Okay.
I don't have, I have to grip my rackets before I play. Nah, I'll have holes in my grip and I'll go play at international. I'm like, it feels right.
Yeah.
There's no like, I have to wear this clothes. I have to wear these socks.
Yeah.
I'll have tournament clothing. I'll be like, yeah, like this is my selection. Okay, I'll take something from that.
Yeah.
So maybe that's like a mild superstition. I have to wear one of these tournament clothings. Other than that, nah, nothing. I don't have to put my left shoe on first or like sit in this spot. I just kind of go with it. So.
Yeah. No, that is. I think some players do. I think for me, I do have some things that I do before a tournament,
Which
but
ones?
it never really worked. So I stopped it. No, I just like sometimes whenever I get on the court, I just want to like what do you call it? Just ease it off. Like I just want to just warm up the full court, and then at the same time, I don't want to play what do you call it? A hard game right away.
Okay.
So and then it never really ended up working for me. So I stopped.
That's fair.
It's not like a superstition, but I just run around the court and come back.
Nice.
Or yeah. And even prior to that, I had one more actually. And now you think about it, is more. I used to run to washroom before every game.
Okay, that I will do. I'll be like, I don't know if it's a superstition, but it's like my body's like, okay, you're gonna go play, go now.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I definitely, even if it's like a game, let's say I played one game and there's an immediate game right after, and I still have to go. I'm like, okay, I win that game. Okay, now I'm gonna repeat it. Let's do this again. So that was like the perfect. I don't know. I mean, some tennis players do have like I think they just put water bottles in a certain spots.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was
some of their superstitions are crazy. You're like, how do you remember all this? Like that would just get tiring to do all the time. But it works for them. So
that's perfect. Okay, now that have you played any other sport other than badminton?
Competitively or for fun?
I'll say for fun because I know you did running competitively.
I did running competitively.
Yeah.
For fun, I like to try everything. Summers we'll go play tennis. We'll play pickleball, spike ball. We'll just grab some guys and play.
Oh
those.
yes.
Yeah. When I was younger, I played soccer, basketball, did swimming. Never did hockey.
Yeah.
What else did I do? Mostly just those. But like nowadays, we'll just go play stuff for fun. We're like, yo, let's try this sport. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
100% look like a badminton player playing tennis, but it's still fun and we still enjoy it. So,
yeah. So out of all the sports, you love badminton then? Yeah. So that's perfect. So, all right, that's all for today, man. Thank you for giving me your time.
Thank you for
having me. I really
having
appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you. Hey everyone, thanks so much for supporting my channel. I really appreciate all the feedback that I receive from you guys. It helps me make better videos. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do it. It helps me bring in more guests onto the show to share their stories and experiences, which we can all learn from. And if you haven't already watched my videos, please click the link here.